різних кацапських штук.
Ukrainian Su-25 ambush wipes out $25 million Russian convoy despite heavy air defenses. Today, eastern Ukraine offered a clear example of how modern warfare often turns on timing rather than sheer force. A Russian supply convoy moved in daylight, believing that clear weather, speed, and layered air defenses made the route safe. Ukrainian reconnaissance proved that assumption wrong. Using real-time intelligence and a single low-flying strike aircraft, Ukrainian forces disrupted the movement before it could reach cover. In less than a minute over open road, the convoy was reduced to burning wreckage and blocked asphalt, with losses later assessed at roughly $25 million. This outcome was not the result of chance. It was the product of surveillance, sequencing, and exploiting narrow windows before reinforcements could arrive. To understand why the operation succeeded, the sequence must be followed from the first confirmed contact. At 11:23 a.m., a Russian convoy of 23 military vehicles accelerated along Highway M3 in eastern Ukraine, moving toward Avdiivka with ammunition and reinforcements over the coming week. The column stretched across nearly 4 kilometers of open road. It consisted of ammunition carriers, fuel trucks, infantry transport vehicles, and a command element tasked with maintaining control under pressure. Conditions appeared favorable. The weather was clear, visibility was high, and the convoy commander expected to reach protected positions within 35 minutes. From a planning perspective, the logic was simple. Cross the exposed section quickly while escorted, then disappear into defended terrain. 2 mobile air defense systems accompanied the convoy, deliberately positioned at the front and rear to provide overlapping coverage. Ukrainian tracking identified them as Pantsir short-range air defense systems, platforms designed to counter aircraft, drones, and incoming munitions using surface-to-air missiles and rapid-fire cannons. For Russian commanders, the presence of Pantsir vehicles provided confidence. Their role was to detect threats quickly, respond automatically, and deter or destroy anything that lingered within engagement range. That confidence, however, rested on an incomplete picture. Ukrainian reconnaissance had been tracking the convoy for more than 2 hours from roughly 45 kilometers away. Intelligence units monitored Russian communications throughout the morning, mapping the convoy's route, speed, destination, and escort arrangement. Crucially, they identified not only the presence of air defenses, but their exact placement within the column. That information shaped a practical plan. Neutralize the escorts first, then strike the convoy while it remained exposed on the open highway. By late morning, Ukrainian ground controllers escalated the target from observation to engagement. A Su-25 ground attack pilot was briefed and moved toward his aircraft. The mission parameters were unforgiving. If the convoy reached cover, its supplies would reinforce Russian positions and directly translate into heavier Ukrainian losses within days. The engagement window was short, and delay meant failure. The pilot selected for the sortie had flown 89 combat missions. He was operating a Su-25, a rugged Soviet-era attack jet designed to absorb damage and deliver weapons at low altitude. It was not stealthy and did not rely on advanced survivability systems. Its effectiveness depended on tactics, terrain masking, brief exposure, and rapid withdrawal. For this mission, the aircraft carried laser-guided munitions for point targets and 80 unguided rockets intended for rapid, area-focused destruction of vehicles. As the jet was prepared, Ukrainian intelligence continued providing updates. Controllers confirmed the convoy's position on the open road and reported both Pantsir systems active and scanning. They also relayed patterns observed from earlier encounters, including typical radar orientation and reaction times. Ukrainian air crews had learned through experience that Russian air defenses are dangerous, but not flawless. A fast aircraft appearing briefly from terrain cover could force hurried decisions. The objective was not prolonged engagement, but a short, decisive strike. After takeoff, the Su-25 turned east toward distant artillery fire. Almost immediately, the pilot descended to a very low altitude, holding around 150 meters above ground level. At that height, terrain features such as tree lines and shallow valleys reduced radar exposure, but left no room for navigation error at combat speed. The risk was extreme. At close to 700 kilometers per hour, navigation errors left no margin for correction. Survival depended on precision flying and timing. Encrypted radio guidance kept the pilot aligned with the convoy's movement. Controllers reported the column maintaining speed near kilometer marker 47, with both Pantsir systems still active. The instruction was clear: proceed while the convoy remained exposed. At approximately 8 kilometers from the target, the pilot initiated the most dangerous phase of the mission. He pulled sharply upward, climbing from 150 meters to roughly 1,000 meters in seconds. The maneuver was deliberate. It exposed the aircraft to detection, but was required to establish line of sight and release conditions. The pilot understood that once he climbed, Russian operators would have only seconds to react. From the aircraft's sighting system, the convoy came into view as a long line of vehicles on a straight stretch of highway. The two Pantsir vehicles were clearly visible, positioned exactly as Ukrainian intelligence had predicted, one near the front and one near the rear. Their radar arrays rotated steadily as they searched for threats. The pilot prioritized the escorts. He acquired the forward Pantsir at a range of roughly 11 kilometers and released a laser-guided munition. Almost immediately, he shifted to the rear Pantsir and released a second. The estimated flight time was around 18 seconds. Ukrainian controllers coordinated the strike with precise targeting support, allowing the pilot to release quickly without lingering in the engagement zone. Both Pantsir crews reacted within moments. The forward system launched interceptors and brought its cannons to bear, filling the air with airburst fire designed to defeat incoming threats. The pilot deployed countermeasures, including chaff, to complicate radar tracking. In the confusion of competing signatures and limited reaction time, the intercept attempt failed. The first guided weapon struck the forward Pantsir's radar assembly with a heavy explosive effect, described as roughly 90 kilograms of high explosive. The impact shattered critical components and disabled the system's ability to track and engage. In seconds, the vehicle ceased to function as an escort. The rear Pantsir had only seconds more warning. Its crew launched missiles and intensified cannon fire. According to the account, one round clipped the incoming weapon, causing instability, but the munition remained on course long enough to strike near the missile tubes and crew compartment. The vehicle did not explode dramatically, but its systems failed. Smoke poured from damaged components as the crew evacuated. Within roughly 20 seconds, both escort platforms were neutralized. With its air defense shield gone, the convoy's situation changed immediately. The column remained on an open road with limited room to disperse. Speed was no longer enough to compensate for exposure. The pilot transitioned to the second phase and climbed again, setting up a rocket run from around 1,800 meters. Russian officers on the ground were reportedly calling for help, but the nearest additional air defense assets were not positioned to engage in time. That delay was central to the Ukrainian plan. Once the mobile escorts were removed, a gap opened before other systems could cover the area. At range, the pilot armed his rocket pods. 80 unguided rockets were available, each capable of disabling vehicles and threatening personnel within roughly a 10-meter radius. He released the rockets in rapid salvos, deliberately saturating the convoy's center and extending impacts along its length. From the ground, the attack appeared as dense smoke trails descending in quick succession. The first impacts struck fuel trucks, triggering large fireballs that spread flame to nearby vehicles. An ammunition carrier took a direct hit, producing a secondary explosion powerful enough to be felt well beyond the highway. The account described windows breaking in nearby settlements around 5 kilometers away, consistent with a major ammunition detonation. As more rockets impacted, infantry fighting vehicles were damaged or overturned by blast pressure and shrapnel. Transport trucks burned or disintegrated. A command vehicle's exposed antennas and electronics were damaged, disrupting coordination. Russian soldiers abandoned vehicles and ran for cover as impacts continued. The 4-kilometer stretch of highway became a corridor of smoke, fire, and immobilized wrecks. The strike over the convoy lasted roughly 60 seconds, long enough to collapse the entire logistics column, and short enough to deny any coordinated response. The pilot broke off immediately after expelling the rockets, diving back towards low altitude and deploying additional countermeasures. By then, Russian units across a wide area were alert. Warning tones indicated multiple radar threats searching for the aircraft. A TOR medium-range air defense system achieved lock shortly afterward. Cockpit warnings indicated a launch with only seconds to respond. 2 missiles were fired. The pilot descended sharply from around 1,800 meters to near 100 meters, using terrain to interfere with tracking. He deployed layered countermeasures, chaff, flares, and electronic countermeasures. The first missile diverted and self-destructed. The second lost stable lock and detonated behind the aircraft. Shrapnel struck the Su-25's tail, triggering hydraulic warnings and control degradation, but the aircraft remained airborne. Staying below 150 meters, the pilot weaved through low ground and valleys to break line of sight. Missile detonations occurred behind him rather than on target. That narrow separation in time and space preserved the aircraft. Approximately 15 minutes after the attack began, the Su-25 crossed back into Ukrainian-controlled airspace. Fuel was low, but sufficient. The aircraft was damaged, but flyable, and controllers directed the pilot to return to base. Ukrainian drones arrived overhead and streamed video of the aftermath. Of the 23 vehicles, 9 were destroyed, 8 were damaged and immobilized, 6 were abandoned intact, but trapped behind debris. Fuel fires burned for 3 hours, and the ammunition explosion cratered the roadway, blocking the highway. Based on confirmed vehicle losses and destroyed cargo, post-strike assessments placed the damage at approximately $25 million. Russian recovery teams arrived hours later, salvaging only 4 damaged vehicles before withdrawing. The supplies meant to reinforce Russian positions never arrived. According to the account, affected units went another week without expected ammunition and reinforcements, contributing to a weakened defensive posture. The Su-25 landed with 17 shrapnel holes, degraded hydraulics, and minor electrical damage. Ground crews returned it to service within 2 days, and the pilot flew again 48 hours later. In the final assessment, 1 aircraft, 1 pilot, 2 strikes against air defenses, and 80 rockets halted a logistics effort that Russian commanders expected to complete safely. Russia lost vehicles, cargo, and momentum. Ukraine gained tactical success that translated into operational pressure. The convoy's destruction, valued at roughly $25 million, demonstrated that even daylight movements protected by escorts remain vulnerable when reconnaissance is persistent and timing is precise. The war continues, but this engagement reinforced a hard lesson. Daylight movement, speed, and escorts are no longer guarantees of safety when timing and reconnaissance favor the attacker. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more.